Rich also had his participation trophy. So at the moment, that's all you get. Pat on the back. Why should GARA undertake UPRT? There's only 4 reasons why a pilot will do it. They either have to, they want to, there's a financial advantage, and I'm really sorry that the insurance guys are gone, because this was probably one that I would have liked their input in. Or the last one is, look at me, I get up to the It's a human world, right? So for owners, they get to live, they keep the aeroplane in one piece, they can improve proficiency. Will they get insurance discounts? Talk about that. Operators, staff get to live, keep their aircraft in one piece. It's good for business because they're not killing customers or having incidents and accidents. They should get discounts. Pilots and renters get to live, improve proficiency, and they should get cost savings because insurance savings is a bit of a circular thing. I don't know, just my 5 cents. This might not play. Give it a try. Okay. Pick a circle. Okay. So over in the States, they have a different process with regards to insurance. I've talked to the insurance companies about renters insurance. It doesn't fit the Australian model, but we're people and it's our country and it's by collaboration and sparking ideas and talking about it. You fly in the States privately? No?
I have, well.
Yeah. What's the first question they ask when you walk in?
Well, they ask about renters insurance,
Renters insurance?
but some places will give you a rate per hour, and some will give you a rate per month.
Right. A daily rate?
Yeah. So if you take it, I think last time I flew there, it was like $3 an hour or something like that.
Wow.
Or it was like $30 a month. I'll take a month then.
Oh, I got ripped off. $135 a day.
You did somehow. Yeah.
You had a lot.
It was at Vegas.
Okay. I was probably generous, but yeah. That's how it's worked, but even if you own a plane, it's a similar thing, you still have to have the insurance. I think my son puts his plane over the same that he pays less than half.
Yeah. So the way I understand it over there is the owner, so say you're an operator, you've got a flying school airplane, you would pay for the basic
That's right.
public liability and all that sort of stuff. But the renter pays for his own policy when he's flying the aeroplane or she's flying the aeroplane. So the difference being is that if the renter goes and bingles the aeroplane, the operator doesn't make the claim. So when they say, have you had any claims or accidents over the last year? Nope, not me. The school's lost 4 aeroplanes, but he did it, and he did it, and he did it, and she did it. And I think the other thing that it does too is that it puts another psychological responsibility into the pilot in that it's my insurance, I'm flying it, and if I bingle it, it's on me, rather than just, oh, sorry, I bought the joystick back, the rest of it's out there, I'm going home, see you later, I'll grab a beer before I leave. That'll be $2,000 for that beer before you leave, thanks mate, that'll cover the excess. So, it's just an idea. Now the reason why I thought about this is
No, it's because I moved the mouse. Sorry.
has anybody seen Cloud Ahoy before? Yeah? Yeah? You use it? Anybody else hasn't seen it? So you just download the app on here. It uses your GPS.
Or use your watch.
You're more technically advanced than me, Dave. I'm a dinosaur in and we use this for cross-country training and also for circuit training. So you can say, oh, how square is my circuit? All right. You see the different colours there? What this actually does is it actually tracks, and it's GPS, so it's only ground speed, not airspeed. But you can load the aircraft parameters, stall speed, all that sort of stuff. And it will actually tell you your glide slope, your speed, it'll tell you when you're approaching the stall, it'll tell you rate of turn, it'll tell you stuff. I posted up some stuff when I did a spin once in the decathlon, and I 8,200 foot per minute descent rate at 45 knots. Yeah! Over like 4 seconds, or
We looked at that one
8 seconds, or whatever it was.
We did that series out here a couple of months ago.
Yeah, that's right. And I posted it up online. A lot of people go, "Oh wow, holy crap, that's amazing." So it's another awareness tool. But what's that?
The undetected sync.
The undetected signal. Well, no, it's detected all right.
Yeah, I know. Have you got the cockpit view there? Have you?
Yeah, they do you can do the heads-up display view. Well, I had a problem up here. I don't know whether you had it, but the GPS coordinates didn't match onto the Google. So you were like 200 feet above the runway and off the center line. But
What do you use it for?
Yeah. Yeah.
so in this instance here, so this was a cross-country flight, and we were supposed to go from whatever point that was to this place here. So obviously, somewhere about here, he lost the plot. He started to head off track. You can zoom down, and it actually shows you, it's a Google map overlay, right? So you can say, all right, on some of them, you can actually see, if you do a forced landing exercise or something, you will actually see the activity. You can zoom down and say, okay, so see all this terrain you were flying over? Why were you flying over that at 500 feet when you could have went half a mile this way or a mile that way and fly over the fields? You know? And one of my other favourite ones is pulling the power, like as you're approaching a lot of tiger country up here, you go past a lot of landing fields, and just as they get beyond the 110 degrees, you pull the power, and you can zoom in here and say, oh look, we pulled the power here, what was right behind you? All you do was a left turn, and you could have landed on 15 fields, but you chose to go into the trees. So it's just a tool.
Now, just like with that cockpit view at Moorabbin where GPS seems to work,
Yes.
it's just like being in the airplane, flying the circuit and doing the landing.
Right, so it's sort of like a simulator feedback for your flight, and you can pause it. Because you can fast forward at 10 seconds a bit, or you can drag the slider and the little yellow, this is hard to use though, the little yellow button thing here slides you along, and you've got the all of the stuff there. So it's quite a good tool. So what that Eventco thing does is, when you get the Pro version, it actually gives you a scoring system. So if you're continually flying around at the stall, or you're overspeeding, or whatever, you don't score as well as if you're flying in the middle of the VG diagram, right? So that's how they use that. So Cloud Ahoy teamed up with that renters insurance thing. Obviously, they make a buck because it's all about the bucks. But the idea is sound. And this technology is available.
It's trucking surveillance.
Sorry?
It's trucking surveillance for pilots.
Exactly right.
Is it a free app? Can you pay for it?
It's $65 a year US.
I've got to tell you, they have that for cars over there too, and people's insurance. But if you can get a high rating for safe driving, you get a discount on car insurance, which is.
And why the hell shouldn't you? Why the hell shouldn't you? So that's pretty much what I got. A big thank you to Darren from CASA for looking after all the techo stuff. Darren's work is not done. He volunteered himself to edit all this together to make a recording, and it'll be made available to whoever wants it. Darren's got a resource link, and we'll email that link out to everybody. And if you've got, we'll put all the presentations in there for people who are happy to share the presentations. You guys happy to share your presentation? Put the presentations in there, and any other resources like Cloud Ahoy and the UPRTA link. And then it's about collaboration. I've got I showed you my stall triangle.
Yes.
So I've got a concept that I put together about teaching the stall, and I think it's quite good. Just a different way of sharing that, trying to do it.
Just a trade-off box.
This is what?
Trade-off box for stall.
Yeah, exactly right. We only got so much energy, but viewing it, military guys, the fire triangle. We know all about the fire triangle. We used to do it every safety with the military boys. Oxygen, fuel, heat in the right proportions, get fire.
Yeah.
That's good. You've got speed, load, angle of attack, keep it all together, aeroplane flies. Exceed any one of those, you stall. Simple as that. So we can share that resource. So how will we make that available to people then?
I can just send that link to that folder out to everybody. Either sharing.
They can draw from that?
Yeah.
Right. So we could share it with people who are listening online, or view the recording at a later date. They'll be able to go to there and pull out the things.
Yep, just share everything through there.
So
I have a question just with that. It's interesting you mentioned insurance, because we're, in case we're hoping to set up, the only time I have to talk when I get a frog in my throat, in Aviation Works, which is the CASA online learning portal. What we're really trying to do is capture professional development seminars like this.
All the ad safety seminars.
Yeah. It should be we should be able to capture what you're attending for professional development, for the safer skies vision, but also you're talking about insurance there. How would you go to an insurer and all the people here and go, here's something to prove that I attended a UPRT seminar, therefore maybe reducing my insurance costs.
And that's what we asked them, and I don't know, we're all in the room, we've all got aeroplanes, we all pay insurance, and you read some insurance, I won't mention any in particular, but you read some of them and say, if you do extra training, tell us, because that'll have an impact on your policy. And so you tell them, oh, yeah, we do this, and we do that, we do that. Yep, okay, but your insurance is still going up. Okay, so I think it's a good first step to have them in the room to talk about it and for them to be aware of it. But I'll just give you an analogy from a maintenance point of view. And one of the other things, like with our Breezy Log, we're doing a program with plainsales.com.au. Because if you put two aeroplanes side by side and one's maintained in accordance with the manufacturer's maintenance schedule and the other one's maintained because Bob on Facebook said this is a better way to do it, then are they the same price? Should they be sold at the same price? Right? So it comes back to the insurance and can you prove? So if I prove that I've got all of my maintenance here, and I just don't hand you a piece of paper that says, oh, you know, scratch some stuff here, I was herding cats and I just had some time to do whatever, I should get more for my aeroplane of the same vintage, of the same flight hours, if it's maintained appropriately, than one that is not maintained appropriately. But that's not what's happening in the aircraft sales market at the moment. Because everybody goes, like if I was to sell JIR now, after a rebag, engine overhaul and interior,
Needs a red stripe.
well, everybody keeps telling me that.
That doesn't go fast enough.
But I've had people say, yeah, but it's still a 1979 Wood Spar Decathlon. So I don't care. It's got an overhauled engine. It's been rebagged. It's got to be worth more than a 1978 Decathlon that hasn't been rebagged and it's got an engine on condition. No, it's still a 1970.
Caveat emptor.
What's that?
Caveat emptor. It's up to the buyer to find out what the hell's going on.
And that's the thing. So proving compliance is great, and proving safe flying activities is great. Proving good maintenance is great, but unless people value it and want to do something with it, it's not really worth anything. So, and that's another thing that with Part 43 that's coming down the pipe, that was the other regulatory change that's coming. There's a lot of emphasis on the reasonable person. The reasonable person will ensure that their aeroplane is safe. Okay, have you seen the cost of aircraft parts lately? People are going to, and they already are, going out to Facebook and saying, how do I fix this? Do I have price on this? Do I have this? And they're doing that. But a lot of people, most people want to do the right thing. But when it comes to dollars and cents, they don't. And that's the same with the training that we find. And Jeremy's sitting at the back going, yeah. But you really should do this training because I'm doing a flight review and you fly okay, but you can fly a lot better if you come and just spend a day doing this. Well, how much is that going to cost? Do you want to fly better or not? Well, you know, I only fly on the weekends and this and that. Well, there's part of the problem. You know, so it's a culture. Again, it comes back to a culture.
So, but that lady, Vanessa from Aon,
Yep.
I thought that was ringing in her presentation about you've done this UPRT training. It was mentioned up there in her presentation about, then saving costs and so on. So I was just trying to put the
There
two
was the
together.
heart circle stuff she talked about. And the problem with the heart circle is that what they're seeing is an increasing number of claims and accidents, which is increasing premiums. Where do we start on the circle? What we've got to do is actually get the accidents down and the claims. And that comes from training syllabus to a degree. Yes, the mandating thing might do it, but we write it. But if the more people we can get to train, and the problem is you all know, it's not the ones that do come and spend the $4,000 or turn up and say, I want to do this because I know it'll be good. It's the ones we don't get. And that's where, this mandate versus voluntary thing comes in. But we've got to get that right because what that said on that circle this morning is once they get more margin effectively, because because they're getting more premiums, 130 billion or whatever the number was, they can invest that back in. And that's when they're prepared to take the risk and say, you've done a UPRT course, we'll give you $500 off.
It comes back to what Colin said before, it's a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Come and do the training and then we'll entertain reducing your insurance. But if you don't do the training, we won't regret. Well, how
Also,
many?
we were operating aerobatic airplanes. If you insure a non-aerobatic airplane for primary training, it's a lot cheaper than insuring an aerobatic plane to do aerobatic training.
No, it's not.
It is for us.
Well, maybe I've got a different. Mike? God damn it, he's
All
gone.
gone, haven't they? Yeah.
Our Technams cost the same amount of money to insure than our Decathlon.
I'm not talking about the actual cost per hull and the type of airplane.
Oh, right,
But
sorry.
if you add on the training, you conduct flight training, that's an increase in premium risk. You add on that you're doing aerobatics and spin training, they put it up even more.
Well, same story. Our Technam, RAL's Technam, is the same cost as our Decathlon.
You know, a little light sport was more expensive to insure than our aerobatic plane, but that's because it's carbon fibre and it's expensive and they've got all those statistics.
Yeah.
What we need to do is educate them that the type of training we're doing isn't more dangerous, it's actually making it more safer for everybody.
And I think that we achieved that part of it. We made a good first step on that today because Vanessa said to me before she left earlier, she said, I learned so much today and I'm going to take that back to the office and try and tell them that this is really important stuff. And if we don't expose them, that industry to that and explain the importance of it. But that's really good, but the statistic numbers show is the proof in the...
I think you've touched on it, the mandated component of competency-based training and to maintain competency or currency is attending things like professional development, keeping your technical skills up to date and across of what's happening to alleviate performance gaps and all that sort of thing. I've spoken to Paul, I've spoken to you briefly, Neil, about CAS's undertaking of competency-based training for flight schools, that big project that we're just touching on right now. If we were to mandate that to say, well, part of maintaining competency means attending seminars, then that would be the driver. You mentioned the circle.
So 2 points on that,
Yeah.
Darren. One is, and what Neil talked about, is that there is a syllabus, but no two schools are going to have the same competency level. That's one thing. And the other thing is, we have the safety seminars here at Caboolture. There's over 300 members at this aerodrome. We don't get 300 people in this room. We get maybe 20 to 30. So we're at 10%, right? Now, when I was flying in Canada, you had to do a flight review and you had other regulatory requirements to meet for recency and currency, right? But you could get credits for attending an ad safety seminar. And if you attended X, Y, Z, blah, 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 that all counted towards, I can't remember exactly how it worked now because it's been too many years, but they did give you credit towards, because you're learning. And it's the want to learn that we're missing here. But there's a lot of people out there that are flying that they just go, just want to go flying and then I'll put the plane back in the hangar and I want to go home. I don't want to deal with that. I just want to go flying.
PJ?
Going back to the previous slide, for years, with Dean's predecessors and some of my colleagues, I tried to advocate on numerous occasions for the recognition of a similar model, and this is what Neil was alluding to, for the Safe Pilot scheme that exists in America, so that people had some benefit of coming to organisations like yours and doing and learning life skills. Let's make no mistake, what we're talking about are life skills for people who are operating something that is inherently dangerous, and we're trying to help them make it as safe as we possibly can. I might as well talk to the wall for all the good it did me for years. But I think there is now another opportunity. I think there is a window of opportunity in terms of providing some incentives through the regulator, through RAOs, through GFA, because we now have these mandated flight reviews, biannual flight reviews. And if people got some return for their investment, not just insurance, then maybe we just might get some leverage and some interest. So, how you do that, I really don't know. But if there was a mandated UPRT course, that would be one way of stimulating interest for people to do it. So that if you did a URPT course 1 year, I would argue, and continue to argue, and have been arguing for years, that those life skills are better than sticking somebody in an aeroplane, doing that for an hour and a half, pulling them out and signing off a piece of paper.
Well, Arios does it now. If you get an additional endorsement, then that counts, that updates your BFRD.
You're right.
So we've been doing that forever. What we're going to do is add UPRT to that list. So UPRT is an endorsement, you do the UPRT, that means you don't have to do another BFR for another 2 years, because that time you've done an UPRT is exactly what you said.
But we need to think outside the box. We need to embrace more than just the UPRT course. We need to embrace the flight safety seminars that are run by CASA and find some way of linking those so that it's not just the UPRT, but it is other elements that go along with that to augment the safety outcome that we're all striving to achieve. You've got a way of doing it, guys, please,
Well,
let me know.
well, but maybe the model that Roger Crossway, head of Flight Standards branch, maybe that's what he's trying to achieve.
Point system.
Yeah, because he's been around long enough. Mark Sinclair, I don't know if you remember PJ.
He and I have
Yeah.
butted heads over this on
Yeah.
numerous occasions over the years, and maybe some of it's starting to sink in. I don't know.
Mm.
Like the plain English guy.
Yeah.
Just digressing a little bit, the plain English guy, Dean and I sat in a meeting 300 years ago, and everybody in his area in terms of education, industry education, sitting there scratching their head saying, how can we make this simple for pilots, for the industry to understand? Because all this new regulation was coming down the pipeline. And a voice in the wilderness again said, we need a plain English guide. This is too complicated.
Mm.
What is it, 8 years later? We've got a plain English guide.
Yep.
And it doesn't help that you've got a flight activity endorsement like aerobatics, 10 to 12 hours of intensive training, and all the briefings and everything, and that doesn't reset a flight review. Yet doing 2 or 3 hours for a CSU endorsement does reset a flight review.
But it shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'd sign
Absolutely
off.
agree with you.
I'd sign off a flight review if someone wanted to do an aerobatic endorsement. I'd sign it off.
No, but
Do you
you
do
should
flight review?
automatically reset it. And sometimes.
The trouble is now in a Part 61, there are defined elements in the flight review that have to be done. And if you don't do those elements, because you're doing something else like UPRT or aerobatics, then you're not meeting the 61 standard.
Well, that's all. Over 10 to 12 hours, you're going to cover a lot of.
You've got to cover more than 3 hours CSU endorsement, and then that resets the flight review.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not really across the Part 61 stuff. I just know when I did my last AFR with McEwen up there, he just went through and said, well, these are the things we actually have to do. They're mandatory things that are part of the flight review.
So with the tail brake, for example, you do a CSU, tick that box off and do spinning aerobatics, and it resets their flight review. But I can do a 10 to 12 hour aerobatic endorsement in the Robin, which is a tricycle. There's no design feature endorsement, so it doesn't reset a flight review, a biannual flight review.
Well, there's
Doesn't make sense.
There's an opportunity.
Sure.
Not that the aerobatic training is relevant for a flight review every time, but it's just the anomaly between the two. That's
I think there's the words skills development in there.
Yeah. Yep.
So
And competency by whatever regulation, license, whatever it may be, if that's the standard. I've heard that so many times today. Yeah.
competency based.
Well, competency based and the standard. Well, then how do we recognise that that is the standard, and how do you get to that? Professional development and skills training. Surely that's got underpin it, which is the basis of competency-based training anyway. So it's got to be there. You know, and evidence, CASA is going to come out. Apparently, this is the scope of the project, is that CASA will come out and audit you on how you've been gathering evidence towards competency of your instructors. So that's how long's a piece of string there, you know. But that's the fundamentals. I was saying to Neil, you know, the fundamentals of a competency-based training and assessment system is the system, but CAS is going to have to be across that. And if it's going to be mandated, Roger's got to decide that. And I'm meeting with Mike Jewell next week about what is that. And we don't want to overburden small operators with red tape. We've been down that path too many times. So it's going to be interesting where it heads.
I think David said it best. The syllabus, sorry,
We're engineers.
that's, you still said it best. The syllabus is not broken. It's just a matter of refocusing and redefining the things that we need instructors at schools to know with a degree of certainty for competency that they're teaching, and that the pilot is competent to that element within the element. If we do that and we define that a bit better, we're not asking to do more, because quite frankly, 90% of people that do it right say, well, I've been doing that already. You know, when we, you know, you see it straight away. And the other ones that you open your eyes up to say, what are you saying? You know, they don't know what they don't know. And that's the problem with standardisation, is that you have to go through a fine filter, work out who's above standard and who's not. But you have to put something in there that says this is what it is, not just pilot performance exercise to standard.
And I've asked Roger, I haven't got an answer back, but I'll ask Mike on his behalf to say what's the driver. If it's risk-based, that there are performance issues out there that are causing accidents and fatalities and whatever else, then, well then good, mandate the key parts of your education to say that CASA does mandate this and for the right reasons, and then you might get your buy-in, you know, from industry a bit more. I don't know, but that's the key question. What's the driver? And if it's risk-based and its aim is to reduce the risks out there, inconsistencies and whatever else, then great.
What's the problem
Okay.
you're trying to solve?
Yeah. Why are you implementing this?
Very simple. What is the problem you're trying to solve?